Prado versus Nikolay Veretennikov. I generally used to think that his name is Veterannikov, the veteran. I think that should have been his name. I almost said something. I've offended a couple of people. But yeah, for someone who's coming from Kazakhstan, really pretty horrible. Or probably maybe it's because he came into the UFC pretty late. Maybe let me not be too hard on him, but man, his performance has not been great. I also need to cut my hair, man. Like I look really bad. Um, in any case, Veretennikov is pretty at this point, and he was never actually that great, even in his prime. Um, I mean, he came into the UFC pretty late, so I don't even know what I'm talking about when I say he wasn't that great. Even in his prime. I mean, he was. It was easier to beat down people outside the UFC than it is to beat them up in the UFC. Twizy Rich, what up? I remember slamming Ford versus Nicolay, but Prado aimed it close to his grappling. So interesting fight. Hmm. That's actually pretty interesting. Um, I genuinely felt like it was a coin toss. That fight was a coin toss, at that point, but I leaned more towards Nicolay because based on his performance against Danny Barlow, I didn't know at that point that Danny Barlow was actually kind of a mid fighter. He does good against lower level fighters. When he gets to fight like actually talented people, he actually fumbles. So at that point, I had some level of confidence in Danny Barlow, and it influenced my opinion as far as predictions. I made a massive mistake in that one. And Vanderford actually came in and looked kind of impressive. You know, it's kind of sad that after that performance, he's taken this much time to actually um, to fight because he should have fought a long time ago to actually rise in the ranks. So maybe he's not interested in becoming a champion in the UFC. He just wants the title of I'm a UFC fighter, especially him and Paige Van Zandt. Probably they use it for something else. The fact that he's a UFC fighter. Twizy Rich, yeah, we are therefore they should be active. Yeah, especially because he just recently came into the UFC. So Prado, um, okay, Prado, Twizy Rich just wants the Paige Van Zandt sloppy toppy. Oh wow. I mean, she is kind of pretty though. uh, so, Veterannikov, combined with the fact that I don't feel like he's ever been that particularly great, um, he's now like past his prime, like approaching like 40. So his performance is not going to be that great. Like, I don't think we're going to see anything special from Veterannikov. Prado as well for me personally. I know that he has 100% finishing rate. I think am I wrong? I think Veterannikov also has like a 100% finishing rate if I'm not mistaken. Let me actually double check that. Because as far as I can recall, Veterannikov has a 100% finishing rate. Let me actually see that and stop actually assuming things. Where did the fight go? Did the UFC remove it? Okay, here it is. Let me actually check their finishing abilities, but still, I'm not too high. I see a couple of people actually being a little bit high on Prado. Twizy Rich. Is Nicolay really that old now? Yeah, I think he's like 37 or something. He's not too crazy old, but he was never good in his prime, so I don't expect him to actually all of a sudden become this monster or a killer. You know. But Veterannikov unfortunately has a massive advantage in this particular fight, which is a 5-inch reach advantage. which I think is going to play a huge role in how this fight plays out, especially if it stays on the feet. Right, and Prado has a 100% finishing rate. Veterenikov has a 83% finishing rate, which is kind of which is kind of interesting. I'm also going to go through their resume once I'm done breaking down the technicalities of it. So both of them are pretty good at finishing fights, but obviously Prado has never won without it being a finish, which is honestly very impressive. As far as volume goes, Prado is going to be throwing probably twice as much as Veterenikov, so that's good for him. But I don't like the fact that Veterenikov has a 5 inch reach advantage. I don't know how that's going to influence the fight, especially if it stays on the feet. Um, Technical striking abilities. Oof. I don't know, man. To be honest, I wouldn't blame anyone who picks Veterenikov, to be honest, man. I don't know, man, because the only thing that I see Francisco Prado having as an advantage is the volume in strikes, right? Um, he has horrible defense, striking defense. It's not great, even though Veterenikov is not the best, but even though Veterenikov is not the best striker, but he has some level of defense, right? And okay, here's my view, right? My subscribers and I are going with Francisco Prado, but here's how what worries me. Veterenikov has a 5 inch reach advantage. Veterenikov is a little bit better defensively than Francisco Prado. Veterenikov also has the ability to actually finish a fight. Even though Prado has a 100% finishing rate, Veterenikov actually has like an 83% finishing rate, which signifies that he has the ability to actually finish a fight. When we get to the grappling, um, Prado has like a 25% takedown defense. Veterenikov has a 57% take defense. Not great, but I mean, Prado in comparison is, I don't know, who's the worst person at the defending takedowns. I don't know. I guess we have to look into to women's MMA at this point. Twizy Rich, I think Nikolay opened as a minus 160, but the line flipped. Yeah, I now come to think of it, as I'm analyzing this fight, it's kind of making a little bit more sense. Why that actually happened. I wanted to trash Veterenikov, to be honest, but I'm not going to. It just feels like he is going to be a little bit better in this particular fight. However, it's got a lot of there are a lot of elements, but in all honesty, I don't like the fact that Veterenikov is bigger in size than Prado. Open your eyes. I don't like the fact that he is much bigger. Prado is in the wrong weight class, to be honest. That's why Veterenikov has a 5 inch reach advantage. So there are so many things that worry me in this fight right now. I genuinely could see Veterenikov winning this fight, even though Kanya sits though. Um, I genuinely could see a situation where Veterenikov actually wins because because Prado is much smaller than Veterenikov, and especially for welterweight. Um, Veterenikov has the reach advantage. Veterenikov is better defensively on the feed. I don't know, man. Let's see the record. I'm Twizy Rich. Yeah, Prado always undersized, but hard one to call. Yeah, 100%, man. I was a little bit more confident than Prado, but now not so much. Prado lost a unanimous decision to Jamie Mullarkey, beat Azaita, and then lost to Zalhuba, and then lost to Jake Matthews. Those are not bad losses, and those are pretty decent wins, I think. I mean, but to be 3-1 in the UFC, to be 1-3 in the UFC is kind of terrible. So he's fighting in the wrong division, and it clearly seems like he has no intention of actually changing his divisions. But currently, Francisco Prado is 3-1. Yeah, Kanya. Francisco Prado is 1-3 in the UFC right now. So I genuinely don't like the fact that he's 1-3 in the UFC. He's been losing every fight that he's been in except one against who's his name? Otman Azaitar. I mean, I don't even know how good that win is. Um, but on the other hand, Prado has been fighting pretty good competition. I mean, losing to Jake Matthews, Zalhuba, and Milwaukee is not particularly bad. Those I wouldn't say those are the top of the creep. Those are the top of the division, but um, it's also hard to actually say that that's a good win. I mean, it's also hard to say that that's a bad win. I mean, look at what Jake Matthews just did to Chidin Jokwani. Um, that losing to Jake Matthews at this point is not particularly bad. Look at his performance against Michael Morales, which is one of the things that I was saying. Fight, I was like, that Michael Morales fight showed me how good the Jake Matthews is, because he's one of the very few people who gave Michael a run for his money, right? So in that fight, I was like, okay, that's kind of impressive. So losing to Jake Matthews is not bad. Zelhuba is not particularly great, but Zelhuba is very long. Pretty decent striker, horrible defense, but pretty decent. To Zelhuba is not too bad as well. Milwaukee, I mean, he's a seasoned UFC fighter. I don't even know if he's still under contract in the UFC, but I mean, seasoned UFC fighter. And then when we look at Veterenikov, on the other hand, he loses to Danny Barlow. He loses to Vanderford. What's his name? Austin Vanderford. So at this point, it comes down to who's less horrible, right? It comes down to who's less horrible in this fight. I saw a couple of people defending Prado, but I think it comes down to who's horrible. I get that, and like I was saying, I think Prado faced a far better competition. Jake Matthews significantly better than anyone Veterenikov has faced. Zalhuba, I think he would beat. I don't know about Vanderford, but I think he would probably beat Danny Barlow. So, in all honesty, I feel like obviously Prado has faced better competition. There's no argument there. But as far as the skill, I don't know, man. Veterenikov is bigger, 5-inch reach advantage, better defensively on the feet. The only advantage I would give to Prado is the fact, I don't know, he has more volume. That's the only advantage I would give him. Down defense, pretty horrible, but probably it's because of the level of competition that Prado has been fighting. I mean, fighting Jake Matthews, obviously you're not going to have the best takedown, the best takedown defense. Zelhuba, on the other hand, I don't know. Jamie Milwaukee, I understand. So I don't know, man. Vanderford also, I mean, not Vanderford. Veterenikov also does not have the best defensive wrestler. So this fight, to be honest, it could go either way. But I hate to say this, but if Veterenikov was not 37, I would have picked him. To be honest, I don't like the age, and I feel like Prado has faced better competition. That's the only reason. Onyx, what up, man? Welcome to the stream. I just finished breaking down the fight. I'm so worried about the particular fight. I'm going to respond to you guys now. Um, uh, So my subscribers and I are going with Francisco Prado. I'm not confident in this particular pick. I could see Veterannikov winning this fight. I will emphasize these points once again if you didn't hear me. Veterannikov has a 5-inch reach advantage. Veterannikov is better defensively. Veterannikov is much bigger. Is much bigger. Prado should be fighting a lightweight, not welterweight. So Veterannikov on the feet alone is going to have a massive advantage because he's going to be much bigger. Defensively, I think is going to be better on the feet. Even on the ground, I don't trust Prado's takedown defense. Ah man, damn it. Damn you, Veterannikov, for being terrible against Danny Barlow and Vanderford. Like now, they don't give us like I don't have a choice but to go with the guy who's faced better competition. Did he? Let me actually check. How did he lose against Jake Matthews? Maybe if Prado was able to go to a decision, maybe that will make me feel a little bit better. Let me actually check. I forgot how that fight ended. I respond to you guys. I'd like to see how Jake Matthews actually won because I know Jake Matthews is actually good. So at least if he was able to go to a decision, okay, he went to a decision with Jake Matthews. I mean, I mean, cheating Jokwani couldn't go to a decision with Jake Matthews, and I actually think cheating Jokwani is good. And he went to a decision with Zelhuba. Okay, maybe I'm being too hard on Prado, man. And then how did he lose to Jamie Malaki? Decision again. Okay. Okay, now my confidence in Prado has gone up a little bit. The fact that he was able to, let's minus Zelhuba and Milwaukee, even though Milwaukee is pretty decent, is pretty well rounded. He's not high level, but he's actually pretty decently well rounded. The fact that he was able to go to a decision with Jake Matthews is kind of impressive. Okay, my with Prado, my confidence in Prado has gone up a little bit, but I still feel like Veterannikov might find a fluke win. In all honesty, if Veterannikov is an underdog, I think he's a pretty good underdog, to be honest. So yeah, let me respond to you guys so that I can go to the last fight. Um, Tweezer Ridge, Azaita is a free win, to be honest, but his losses are good. Yeah, I agree. I'm Tweezer Ridge. He did win round one versus Zalhuba pretty easily, but I wonder if that was just because of Zalhuba style. Yeah, that's another concern that I have. Shoshot McGee, Barlow is a bum and made this fool look good. um, Susie Rich, dude, Sam Patterson was free, but a KO was not. um, Susie Rich, such a goofy KO. Nicolay's only good opponent was Morales. Is still I still don't know how good Vanderford is overall. It's not hard to ragdoll Nicolay. Man, that was pretty harsh. Onyx, how's it going? Awesome, my guy. You're finding me at the end of the stream. Wow, I feel like the past six streams I've not been breaking them my words are gone. I have not been breaking them down the way I was supposed to. These two fights that have been today, to be specific, I think my breakdown have been exceptional. But even on my worst day, I think my breakdowns are still pretty good. But yesterday, I felt like, I mean, today, to be specific, I think the breakdowns that I've done today, oh, man. Sorry guys, my phone actually. I'm left with one last stream. Let's go there. Um, yeah. I love and appreciate all of you. I saw a couple of you were waiting for me, and then you bounced. Let's go to the next fight. I love and appreciate all of you. Deuces.
Are you done?
Not yet, but we